This is huge. We're going to be talking about 8 key takeaways from the Chicago Bulls preseason that they are going to be able to use as they get ready to start their regular season up Wednesday against the Pelicans. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so we are jumping into 8 key points from the preseason that I think are going to be huge for the Chicago Bulls, not just for the start of the season, but these are going to be some key points that the Chicago Bulls can build off of as they continue to go ahead and build this roster out. And so let's go ahead and go into point number one, and that is going to be the rookie Modest Buzelis. I think that Modest Buzelis has absolutely shown that he belongs in the NBA, and I think that he has shown to me that he is ready to go because you're looking at an image from game one. Defensively, he looked terrific. He knew exactly where to be in his rotations. He was great at being a help side defender and getting a chase down block too. And I think that that is something that is going to get any player some playing time, and that is being an impact on the defensive end. And so the fact that Modest Buzelis is able to come in and be an impact on the defensive end, that is going to be huge for the Chicago Bulls because they need that type of defensive presence. And then with the offensive end, I know that that's something that he is going to need to work on, but I love the fact that he is willing to go ahead and take the shots, even if they're not going down. There were times where, yes, he did shoot up the air ball, but he would come back and hit a big three-point shot the very next possession or a couple possessions down. And so I love the fact that Modest Buzelis continues to be assertive. He's fearless on both ends of the floor. So I think that this is going to be huge for the Chicago Bulls as they get ready to start the season up. And I love the fact that, he can score in multiple ways, even though it's not necessarily polished on the offensive end. He can go ahead, he can hit step backs, he can finish off the break, he can get to the free throw line. And so you can only expect for this to get better as he continues to get minutes. Not sure if he's going to be in the Rookie of the Year consideration. He would need to, I think, at least get 30 minutes a game. But out of the box, I think that this young man is going to get at least 20 to 25 minutes a game, and he should. And so next up, the next key point I think to take away from preseason basketball for us is going to be the improvement from Julian Phillips. I think that Julian Phillips has looked outstanding. I love the fact that he's come back from the foot injury. He looked good in Summer League. His ability to knock down the three-point shot is going to be huge for the Chicago Bulls. They want to play faster. They want to knock down three-point shots. But defensively, his presence, his ability to create and get steals and to go ahead and get rebounds, I think is going to be huge for a team that does not want to get into the half-court game. I think you're going to see that Julian Phillips is ready to take another step forward. All right, and so as we push forward, I think the next key point is going to be Jalen Smith. I think that Jalen Smith has shown that he can be the starting center if need be, if they do go ahead and trade Vooch or they elect to move Vooch to the bench. I think that Jalen Smith can absolutely start for this team. I think he's shown that if you give him extended minutes, he can play with multiple rotations. I don't care who it is at the guard position. I think that Jalen Smith can absolutely go ahead and benefit from that. I know he hasn't even shot the ball very well from downtown, but I think at some point, he is going to get that three-point shot to start to go. And I love the fact that just as a rebounder, he is going to help us in the front court coming off the bench with Modest Buzelis. I think that that is absolutely going to be a great unit to watch. And so I think that, yes, Jalen Smith has shown that he might be one of the biggest steals in free agency this year for the Chicago Bulls. And so next up, as we continue, I think that Dalen Terry has been a standout for us thus far. I think that the work that Dalen Terry has really done this year in the offseason, it's starting to show. I think that the game has slowed down, and I love the fact that he can be impactful in many different ways. Some nights it might be rebounding. Some nights it might be getting steals. Some nights he might be the scorer. But the one thing that Dalen Terry does do, and that is bring the energy. And so I love that said about Dalen Terry. I think that that is going to help this team get an identity, just like these younger players that we've talked about already, whether it is Modest Buzelis, Jalen Smith, Julian Phillips, and now Dalen Terry. These players are going to help to bring that type of identity that we need, with that energy, with that grit. And I think that this is what Dalen Terry is going to bring. And I think at some point, he's going to figure it out offensively, and he's going to be even more of a consistent scorer. And so I think that that is something that he's going to need to take a step forward in this season. I think he can get there. Just got to get him the playing time, but I think we should be very impressed with what he has shown thus far. Next up, as we continue, now we're looking at players that we expect to take a step forward. And I think two players have shown us that they are ready to take a step forward in the preseason, starting with Coby White. I think Coby White is ready to go ahead and pick up where he left off last year, being one of the better clutch players in the league. And also, too, I love the fact that, he's come in. He said already that he wants to be the leader of this team. And I think that he wants to be the franchise player. I think he can be a franchise player. And I think that what's really, intriguing about what he's doing thus far in the preseason is he's playing a different role, and it looks like he's excelling already. So I can imagine that when we get to the season, Coby White is going to take off again. And I think now that we should focus over to Ayo, I think that Ayo has shown that he is ready to take another step forward as well. One of his last games that he played preseason, he had 19 points. He was a plus in the box score. And I think that Ayo Dosunmu, if he is going to remain on the bench, he could be a player that becomes right in the Sixth Man of the Year award winning race. Like, I think he can be right there. I think he can either win that award or be top 5. He reminds me a lot of a player that played back in the day, Leandro Barbosa, who was an NBA champion for the Golden State Warriors. And he really thrived in coming off the bench for the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors. And I think that Ayo brings a lot more of a defensive punch than Barbosa did. So I think that, yes, Ayo, Coby White, they're ready to take another step forward. Patrick Williams, we still have the question mark. We wanted to see him take a step forward. We saw him be assertive in a couple games, but he did get injured in the preseason. He got a jammed wrist. He also got a twisted ankle, in which he said that he could have came back and played. We're going to see now if he's going to be okay for the season opener. But this is a little concerning for Patrick Williams. He didn't necessarily have the start that we wanted in preseason. Yes, it is preseason, but, coming off the foot surgery, he didn't really look, as good as you would think, after, getting a chance to kind of rehab it and everything else. So, that kind of makes me think that perhaps Patrick Williams didn't get a chance to really do a lot of 5-on-5s like he talked about. And I think it might be something where he's going to have to kind of shake off the rust a little bit. But hopefully Patrick Williams is able to take another step forward. He's going to get a lot of opportunities this year. There is no DeMar DeRozan in the way. And I just think at this point in time, there's not too many excuses either for Patrick Williams. So we are going to be looking to see if he can take the next step forward. All right, so next up, as we continue, another player to take a look at is Josh Giddy. Josh Giddy did go out there. He did fill up the stat sheet. He did have an 11, 7, and 7. And I think that this is going to be a pressure-filled season for Josh Giddy because he is in the final year of his contract. He is seeking an extension, obviously, and I think it is reported, actually I talked about this on the last video, that he wants an extension at right around $30 million. And so if they do $30 million at 5, that's about $150 million that he might be looking at getting. And for him to get to that, I think that Josh Giddy is going to have to take another step on the offensive end and be able to knock down the three-point shot more consistently. Defensively, he's going to have to get better on the perimeter defensively. I think that that is going to be key for Josh Giddy. But we did see some signs. Can he be that lead guard in the offense? I guess we're going to find out as the season gets ready to start. Next up, Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine has shown that he has recovered from the injury. He looks very good. I think that this offense puts him in the position now to just simply go ahead and just be a scorer. And I think defensively, he just gets a chance now to play a little bit more of the passing lane. Doesn't necessarily have to be the best one-on-one defender, but I think that that is going to help this team that wants to get out and run. So I'd expect for Zach LaVine to make it interesting this year because he is going to help the Chicago Bulls certainly win some games. And he said all the right things thus far. Does he still want to get traded? Does the team still want to trade him? I think that that's something to watch out for, but I expect for Zach LaVine to take another step forward and continue to play well as he's played well throughout the preseason. Lastly, with Lonzo Ball, I think Lonzo Ball is the feel-good story coming into this season, and I think that he is going to, again, take off during the season. I think that you're going to see a player that's going to go up to maybe 20 minutes a game. I don't think he's going to get back to starting where he was at. I don't think he's in a position to play 30, 35 minutes a game, but I think he can be impactful off the bench, which is going to be huge for his career as he continues to go on. And, you know, if it is with the Chicago Bulls, I think that that is going to be great. If he continues on this year, I think that there's a possibility that, he could, play his way to a point to where he could be a player that somebody wants to come in and trade for on an expiring contract if they feel like, he could be a player off the bench that could help them win an NBA championship right now. I could see that. But we're still going to need to see some more from Lonzo Ball before we even get to that point. But I am definitely excited for him. I hope that he continues to have success. And I think that this was great to see him in these two preseason games. It really seriously does not look like he's missed a beat. I could expect for him to just get even better as the season goes along. And so with that being said, let me know in the comments what you think about these 8 key points. What is your biggest takeaway from the preseason as the Chicago Bulls get ready to take on the Pelicans on Wednesday here? So anyway, I just want to thank you guys out there for liking and subscribing to the videos. It means a lot to us. Make sure that you go ahead and slam dunk on that subscribe button. And even though we are getting hyped still from what we saw in the preseason and we haven't even gotten to the NBA season, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.